Hello, everybody. Welcome to Two Chicks Tell All. It's your girl Tay Tay here.
And Cece.
And I just wanted to definitely put out a disclaimer for this episode
tonight.
because I feel like we are definitely going to be getting into this and definitely touching upon it.
Tonight, we need it.
So here we go. The people and places that we discuss in this episode, their names have been changed to protect identities of people involved. So now that we've gotten that out of the way, it's been quite an interesting week. We had Valentine's Day and the Super Bowl all in one week.
I know, right?
So, yeah, I thought that was pretty interesting. There was a lot of good commercials this year.
Right, yep.
I think my favorite one was with Miles Teller and they were dancing to the elevator music. I thought that was cute.
Right.
And that's actually his real life wife from what I've heard too.
Yeah.
And so that was kind of interesting to see that.
Yeah. I like the little dog, of course, with the fresh pet or that whatever it is, the dog food commercial. That one was pretty sweet.
I like the Ben Affleck Dunkin' Donuts commercial too.
Yep. J-Lo be riding up like, so this is what you've been doing? So yeah. And then Valentine's Day. Hope everybody had a good Valentine's Day and, got what they wanted. Flowers, candy, chocolates, some romance.
I had a treat myself kind of day. I just got Mexican takeout and sat at home and ate. So that was good still, though.
Yeah. I've been having computer issues for 2 days. And it was one of those situations where, everything was running extremely slow. Like, I was typing way faster than it was showing up in the email. And then the programs that I use, it was like this delay with everything, like trying to put the typed information in there or pull up a document. So I had IT people working on it like yesterday for an hour and a half and all, and we're busy. So, it's like I really couldn't afford to be down. And today again, it ended up doing it. But luckily, right when I broke and kind of got back on after lunch, it was like Speedy Gonzalez again. It's like, doom, not missing a beat. So I was able to get back kind of caught up on my work.
Right.
So, definitely good for that. And have some company coming in this weekend. And it's been a while since I've had some girls here, so it'll be fun. Celebrating some birthdays.
Yes, that'll be fun. So next week's episode, we'll just give you a little preview. We're doing a little episode on unbelievable stories. Because we know,
or even
events.
Too,
it's unbelievable events, but there's a lot of crazy stuff out there right now. So that we're going to get into it and talk about it all, or at least some of it.
Yeah.
Because we are Two Chicks Tell All. So we're going to talk about all sorts of different things.
That's right. Prayers out to all those people that, with this earthquake too. It's just insane. So,
yeah.
And some of the rescues and stuff that I've been seeing on Facebook and everything, it's just been crazy, rescuing even pets and all. And, this one family of people that they found, so it's just been crazy. So prayers out to those people.
Yeah, so we're going to get into a little bit of that with next week's episode. And also, if you have any ideas for unbelievable events, don't forget to send us an email at twochickstellall@gmail.com. Chics is with just a C, so CHICS, Two Chicks Tell All. So don't forget to send us an email if you have an idea, and we will definitely take it into consideration. Because we like to do our research.
Yes.
So yeah, we're going to get into dating horror stories this week, which I think me and Cece have personal ones.
Oh yeah, we'll be sharing them.
And I've also found plenty of other people who have had dating horror stories as well.
Right.
So I think it's definitely something that does happen out there. I mean, not everybody is necessarily a serial killer or anything like that, but there's definitely different levels of dating horror stories.
Right. Bad dates gone really bad. Really bad.
Yeah. So, luckily a lot of the dates that I found were kind of just bad dates. Nothing ever happened to the people. So I'm glad about that.
Yeah.
But unfortunately that type of stuff does happen in regards to dating. So, I mean, look at the Jeffrey Dahmer series. It's, it's out there. It happens, unfortunately, and it's not a good thing. There's good, bad, and ugly to everything.
Yep.
So we're just going to get into some horror dating stories. So, a little story that I found. So, this girl met a guy for coffee that she had been talking to online. Okay, that sounds innocent. That sounds sweet. You know, coffee dates are always a great opener. He started acting weird within 5 minutes, and when she asked why, he told her that he was disappointed that her breasts looked bigger in her online picture. Then he continued on with how important big breasts were to him. After about 5 minutes, she cut him off and asked him how big his penis is.
Oh, nice.
The answer was unimportant as she grabbed her stuff and said, "Too small for me," and she walked out.
Nice.
Mic drop.
I know, right? Exactly.
She told him.
That's a good one.
I mean, that's kind of good that like she stood up for herself. Like, don't let anybody treat you like that.
Heck
You know,
no.
it's not respectful or kind by any means.
Right. So yeah, one I came across was about this chick who she had been texting this person for a good bit, and they finally agreed to meet in person. But she invited him over to her house, and so they were sitting on the sofa, and they actually kissed. And all of a sudden, he just kind of backs away, and he said, "I shit my pants,"
Oh my
and she was like, "What did you say?" Like she didn't believe like that was really what he said.
Right.
And then all of a sudden she caught like the smell.
Oh
And so yeah, it was quite embarrassing for him, obviously.
I would
He
say
had to
so.
bail out, and she never heard from him again.
I would say so.
Right.
So on a first date at a coffee shop. So this girl, it was between a guy and a girl, or it was between a girl and a guy, I guess I should say. So on a first date at a coffee shop, the guy picked up the girl's foot, which she was wearing cute sandals, by the way. So he rubbed her foot for a second, and she was like, WTF. And then the guy put all of her toes in his mouth at the table.
Oh, no.
Listen, there is such a thing as a foot fetish whenever it comes to guys, but I think that is taking it
too far. That's the kind of thing you would want to definitely like keep in the bedroom. You know?
Not out in public.
Not like taking it out in
shop.
public. Exactly. Like who wants to see that? No thanks. I would be like having to get up and walk out, I think.
Oh, I agree.
So one of my like personal horror dating stories was, so one wasn't really a horror. It was just one of those things where I think most can relate to, like, I'll just put this guy in the category of like the nuisance guy that you kind of all of a sudden discover. So this was a guy who I would see at these parties that I used to go to, and he was one of like three. They were triplets, and he was like super damn cute. You know, I was like smitten about him. And so my brother and either one of my neighbors or somebody else, because it was more than like just my brother, but we're going to Carowinds. And so I invited him to go to Carowinds, and he ended up going with us. Well, we started like going around, and we would get on a ride. We got on a ride, and then it was like, oh, let's go on this ride. And he had this phrase, and he would always say, "Let's do it." Like that kind of. Maybe Nike was out then. I don't know. That was like popular, but let's do it. Let's do it. And it was so irritating. Like I can remember my brother at one point, and I was like, when he had kind of walked off, gone to the bathroom or something, and I looked at my brother and I go, if he says that one more time, you know, it was just like one of those things that nag you. And it's like, I don't think I can deal with that. So, needless to say, we didn't go out again after that.
Listen, I don't blame you.
Right?
I definitely don't blame you. Guys do have a tendency to have weird quirks sometimes. So
right.
That definitely sounded like it was a weird quirk.
Yes.
So one of my personal dating stories. So this was back whenever I lived in New Hampshire for a couple years. So I was just trying to like meet people and get out there. So I met this guy on Plenty of Fish, and like his profile picture was cute, and like we were getting along real good. Like we were talking for a couple of weeks, and just like it was going well. So I was like, okay, well, let's meet up and, you know, hang out or something. So I met up with this guy, and he looked like a total scrub. I mean, I'm not 100% about looks, but if you're going on a date with somebody, I feel like you should at least like look presentable. And this guy did not look presentable. He looked like he basically rolled out of bed and just like put clothes on. So I was just like already slightly disappointed. Well, he didn't have a car, which that's still not a big deal. You know, like I understand that things happen. Your car breaks down. You're making money to get some more. Like I get that. Or to get another car. So I get that. So I didn't mind like driving us around or driving us to wherever we were going, but he didn't have like any sort of plan, and there was no like sort of plan on what we were going to do. So he had this great idea that we should just run errands, that I was just going to run his errands.
Take him around.
And
you're the Uber driver.
So this was just like really annoying. And then like to top it all off, he talked about himself the whole time and basically told me that I was like high maintenance, which if anybody knows me personally, you know that I'm probably like the least high maintenance person ever. Like, heck, I roll out of bed and just brush my hair and take a shower and go to work. And like, that's it, you know, and like, I'm content with that. So, just the fact that like he was calling me high maintenance and stuff like that was like really bothersome. Cause I'm just like, you don't even know me. Like you've known me for like a couple of weeks and like, you're sitting here saying I'm high maintenance.
Right.
So, I was getting fed up with his shit minute by minute. So then he was criticizing my musical taste, which that's fine. Like my musical taste is all over the board. So,
right.
So that's fine. And then he was like, well, I think you should be doing more with your life. Which at this point in time, I was going to a community college, which honestly, I'm going to get personal for a minute. So I barely passed high school just due to like some undiagnosed like ADHD. Like I had a lot of trouble with like school. So the fact that I like was going to trade school and I was doing good. I was doing good at this point. Like I was making the president's list and stuff like that. Like I was doing really good like once I found like my niche and like what I was doing. So like I was doing pretty good for myself like at this point. So I told him, I was like, well, you don't even know me. Like,
right.
You know, if you saw like what I used to be and where I'm at now, like it's a huge step.
Right.
So he was like, well, I was just saying that you're smart and beautiful and I think you're capable of a lot. Well, that's not what it sounded like the way that you worded it, dude. So like I was just like fed up with this guy at this point. So I whenever I went to go drop him off, he was like, well, it was great hanging out and blah, blah, blah. And I was just like, okay, yeah, whatever. So he texted me after the date. He didn't even do like the 3-day roll or whatever. Like he texted me right after the date and he's like, well, we should go out again. And I told him a list of reasons why we should not go out again.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
So problem solved.
Yeah.
I saw him around campus a few times because it ended up that we were going to the same community college, which was weird. But I'm glad that I never really like ran into him, which was good.
Right.
But yeah. So that was kind of one of my personal stories to contribute to the conversation.
Right, yeah.
So yeah, another little story that I found online. So it was about a girl and she had realized that her date had drug her drink. Like,
oh no.
You know, had put something in her drink. So his excuse was technically that he had drugged his own drink and then he simply offered it to her to try. So it was supposedly her fault.
Oh, damn.
So luckily she could feel what was happening and she got out of there quickly and wrote it out at home alone. In retrospect, it could have gone so much worse.
Oh,
and
yeah,
I agree with that,
sure, yeah.
You know, because weird things can happen whenever you get those drugs involved.
Oh, yeah.
So,
yeah.
You know, I'm glad that she got out in time.
Yeah.
So, do you have any more stories?
Oh, I have.
You would like to share?
So this is a really good one.
We'll let you go ahead and share.
So, well, I shouldn't give the name away first. So this was somebody who I actually went to high school with, and it was funny because there were a couple guys that were in high school that were really cute guys in high school, you know, and everybody was like, oh, so-and-so, he's so cute. So-and-so is so cute, you know.
Right.
There are a couple of those. One of them was actually the quarterback of the football team. Not this guy in particular that I'm going to tell the story about.
Right.
But it was like, I ran into him again and ended up like, you know, kind of spending a little time with him, I guess you could say. And it was so funny because I was like, well, I might not have been able to get him in high school, but now I kind of get him afterwards,
now,
you know.
You go.
But so anyway, this was another high school person. And so, you know, Facebook comes out and everything, and then all of a sudden you're on Facebook messaging people this and that or whatever.
And you're in a relationship and all that stuff.
Right,
too.
yeah.
Yeah.
And so this guy, we had gone out and met at a couple bars, you know, whatever. So one night he texted me and he's like, hey, what are you doing? I was at the house hanging out or whatever. And so he's like, oh, well, you know, I'll come by if you want. I got some beer, you know, not like that really mattered.
Yeah.
But, so I was like, okay. So he shows up, you know, 12 pack of beer or whatever. So we drank a couple beers. And then we proceed to go into the bedroom. And, you know, so doing things on the bed that you would, you know, normally do.
Oh, yeah.
And all of the sudden, my bed breaks. And so I had one of these style beds where it was like the iron and it was all like kind of, I guess you could say welded like in one thing, like the frame was welded into the headboard. And like the foot railing of this bed, you know, kind of. And so it literally like one of the posts like snapped and the bed just like went, you know. And I was like, oh my God, this is insane. Like seriously, did my bed just break?
That's hilarious.
So I get up and I go to the bathroom or whatever. And I'm like thinking this is crazy, you know, laughing, ha ha ha, you know, about it, whatever, because you kind of think it's funny, ha ha. So then by the time I get out of the bathroom though, and I go in there, the dude is gone. Like he has blown the coop, left the house, beer and all, mind you, left me no damn beer and left me with a broken damn bed. And I was so mad. Like, I seriously got in there and I just started like shaking that bed frame and shaking that bed frame to the point where it finally started like bending off on the other, like, you know, the headboard of it and the other side of the footboard. Basically busted this thing up to the point that I was able to haul it out into the hallway. I mean, talk about like getting adrenaline. I was so mad. Hauled it out into the hallway and ended up obviously having the mattress on the floor.
Right.
But damn it, I didn't sleep in no walked out bed that night. I was so mad. And it was so funny because I never heard from him for the longest time. And recently on Facebook had, just because I won't even kind of go into that, but needless to say, I still haven't ever seen him again, and doubt I will. But so he's referred to as the bed breaker.
Oh my! Hey, at least I don't know if you broke your heart, but he broke your bed.
Well, I know, right? I know, right? Well, girl, I was done. I mean, he like bailed like he did. It was like, see ya, bam, gone, and I here I am in a broken bed. Oh, I was so mad.
Listen, was it at least good though? Like, was it some?
Well, I don't even think. I don't think it got going good before the damn bed broke. Like, it definitely, you know what I mean? Like, I mean, and not to say, I mean, I you know, but yeah, I guess that bed had it coming to it.
Apparently,
I don't know.
It might have already been halfway.
I was going to say it could have been
yeah.
a little loose already, and then that just kind of helped the situation, but. Yeah, it was. Oh my God, that was a hilarious.
I've never had a guy
laugh at it now.
Yeah, I've never had a guy break my bed.
Who breaks your furniture?
Yeah, I've never had a guy break my bed, but I've had a guy like sweat all over my bed sheets though, and that
sweat, yeah,
that might be just as bad because I'm like, how could one person sweat that much? Like for real,
right?
I guess the going must have been good. That's all.
There you go. Exactly.
Anyway, sorry, I got off into a tangent. You know how we are sometimes.
That's right.
All right, so another dating story from my list that I found. So a guy shows up 45 minutes late with no text or call to let a girl know. So just as she was finishing her drink and walking out, he was on the phone with a friend. So she went to greet him and he put his hand up in her face to shh her. So she heard his friend ask, "So did you F her yet?" I'm not going to say that
Right,
word.
yeah.
Did you
Right.
F her yet? So she loudly said, which I was proud of this girl. She loudly said, "No, and he won't either." And she walked out.
There you go. Good one.
So I thought that was a good one.
Oh, yeah.
So I found a story that kind of related to my story, which was kind of interesting. So I guess I'm not the only one that experiences this kind of stuff. So this is a guy from a guy's perspective. She criticized absolutely everything. The car that he was driving, the clothes that he wore, the cologne that he chose. So they were supposed to go bowling,
Oh, that's bad.
dinner,
bad.
and then drinks. So when an attendant came over to ask them if they wanted anything, he ordered his snacks and asked her if she wanted anything. So she said, "You mean you don't know? What kind of date is this?" So halfway through our game, she mentioned I was bringing up the wrong conversation topics. Thankfully, the guy's brother called him out of the blue asking to borrow some fishing gear. So he played it as work calling him in, and he couldn't get out of there fast enough.
Right, there you go.
I kind of figured that that's how that story went.
Right.
Oh my gosh. I
And
mean,
that's funny because you do, like, if you have situations where most of the time if you're going out on a date and it's somebody the first time you haven't been out with that person, maybe you've been texting or whatever, semi talking on the phone. Most people now, which is crazy, really don't even talk on the phone much. It's more like text. And then they're going to, come out and meet you. Well, you always have that like backup in your pocket where you have your friend calls, like, just call like 30 minutes after, and and say something's wrong or whatever, and say, "Oh my God, is something wrong?" Remember that was in that movie we watched, that movie with Adam Sandler and Drew Barrymore, Blended. Yeah, they're on the date, and that exact same thing happens. Like somebody calls him, and he's like, "I mean, something happened," and everything. And then in Sex in the City, there was an episode in Sex in the City where she's on a date and Carrie calls. I think it was Charlotte, and she goes, "Oh," that was what she said to the date at the table, which was so funny. She goes, the phone rings, and she goes, "Maybe I should answer this. Something bad might have happened." And then she answered the phone, and she goes, "Something bad has happened?" Like that. And she's like, "I gotta go."
Oh
so yeah, always have that in your back pocket or text or something.
Listen,
you could be like, "Oh, somebody's watching my dog." I mean, you could even say something like that now. Hopefully, you would have a dog, but if you didn't, maybe you would make it up in that situation, and then you could be like, "Oh, I wouldn't want to kind of." I always say I'm not a liar. I'm like I'm just not a liar. So I think it'll be hard for me to pull off something. I'd have to be very creative.
I don't know. I always have a backup plan, especially if like I'm meeting a guy that I met online.
Right.
Because I know how today's world is. So I always have a backup plan. If something ain't going well, I've told Cece on a few occasions.
Oh yeah.
This is what I'm doing tonight. I'm going out with a guy.
Oh yeah. Always tell one of your girls.
If it don't go well, I may need to call you.
Oh heck yeah. Shoot, I've gotten to where there was one time I got in an Uber and I kind of felt a little, like nervous for some reason. And my kind of intuition, my instincts always been very good to me. Like there's been times that things have happened. Like one time, I'll just tell you what I mean. Like my friend was driving my car, which was fairly brand new.
Right.
She had a new car too that was newer than mine. So I let her drive and I happened to be down in Charleston and we were parked in a parking garage. Well, she went to back out and immediately, and there were those big pillars, like,
Yeah.
And something said to me, tell her to watch the pillars. and I didn't say anything, and she hit reverse and bam right into that thing and crushed it. So I was like, shit. So anyway, my intuition has always been really good. So I somewhat felt nervous. So
Yeah.
I called my aunt, you know, when I'm
Trust your
in the
gut at all
car and I'm like,
times.
hey,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm heading down, blah, 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 blah. And now that, you know, it's funny because usually when I lived in Columbia, pretty much, you know, my aunt would see me about every night because she didn't live far from me. So there was always somebody keeping up with me. So yeah, now it's like my neighbor one time, I said, I don't know if somebody would know if something happened to me. I could be dead up in my house for a couple
Oh my
days, you
God.
know, kind of thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, always check with your peeps.
Yes.
So
Definitely. Oh my gosh. So, another story. So, a guy arrived 40 minutes late with no text to say where he would be or why he was, you know. Turned up with his laptop and said that he needed to do some work.
oh no.
And he gave the girl some cash to get him a coffee and something that she wanted.
No.
She was like, okay, sure, and stood in the queue watching him as he put on his headphones and opened his laptop.
Oh my God.
So,
I would lose my mind.
yeah. She came back with the drinks and he said he just needed to finish this and he took a call. So she sat there for another 40 minutes with zero conversation
no.
and he was typing and chatting away. This was a Saturday, by the way, and he scheduled this time. So after he finished, he said to her, "Let's go to a bar and get a proper drink." So
Oh my God.
they had a chat and he tried to get to know him, but he was being an arse. So he ordered the drinks and then started having a go at her for not offering to pay, and then he went on a rant about double standards. Which, hey, like I'm okay with that. Like I think, you know, it's 2023, like, you know. But still,
That's
like,
a little much. Like,
but I feel
I would have never
yeah.
made it past
yeah.
the 15 minutes that I sat there with him and I'd have been like,
I would have been like, are you
No,
working?
thanks.
Like,
No.
if you're working right now, then we shouldn't
Yeah,
be here.
see you later. Text me when you're done and want to meet me somewhere else besides
Yeah.
you having your computer or working.
Yeah, it was a little.
I know that was
crazy.
a little. Yeah, yeah.
That girl had a lot of patience because
I know, right?
my patience would have been tested,
right?
Like probably after the first 10 minutes of just watching him sit there on his laptop.
Oh yeah.
I mean, then that's one thing that like I am just not a fan of. Like, I don't think it's right if you're on a date with somebody for either of us, me or the guy, to be on our phones during the date.
Right, yeah.
I just feel like I feel like it really takes away from the time. I mean, you're going out on a date to like get to know each other.
Right.
How can you get to know somebody whenever you're glued to your phones?
Right, yeah.
So, I don't know if I'm just old fashioned, but I enjoy good conversation. So, I just think that phones should be like a no-go on dates.
Well, and it's so sad nowadays too, because when you go out at places, a lot of times you'll notice couples.
I know.
And they'll be sitting there with their phones out, and both of them will just be engrossed in their phones and not even like, there's no communication with them whatsoever. And then you get to the kids that now have these iPads. Like, let me tell you, this is what kills me.
Yeah.
Like, so, you know, all the cars are so equipped with these TVs and stuff in them.
Right.
So you can okay, when we went on road trips, you didn't have that crap. Like, you had to sit there and be creative, and you know, you might have had like some of your crayons and stuff in your car, and
We used to
color
play
books
games.
or something, or do like card games and stuff like that. But you didn't have a dang TV entertaining you while you driving down the road. Like,
I remember we used to look out for like different signs that had different letters of the alphabet.
Right, yes.
And like we had a grand old time
trying to spot the different license plates from the different states and stuff. And I'll never forget my grandmother. She was so sweet. Every time we would be down driving on the road, you'd go under a bridge.
Yeah.
We would duck down in the car, you know, and everything and all. But yeah, it's like how that technology now is just basically it's I hate to say it, but it's basically controlling the children.
I feel like it's ruined a lot of things.
It's just like that's what it's all about. They want to be hooked to that TV, that iPad, or whatever, and And I've heard people say, even kids like even under like a year old or whatever, baby, like, so it's like, oh yeah, the TV just mesmerizes them. And I'm like, well, think about it. If you're getting them hooked then on that stuff at that early of an age, there's still things that can occupy their eyes and things that can keep them occupied that's not a TV screen,
Yeah, I think personally, I don't know, I think parents with like really young children should be using that time to like work with their kids and
right,
like, teach
bond
them
with
things.
your kids and stuff too,
Yeah, definitely.
All right, sorry, we got a little off the subject. But
that was not about dating horror stories.
No, sorry. Okay. We kind of get off the road a little bit sometimes.
So we're just gonna talk about some movies that kind of talk about, I guess, like horrific dates, right, or like movies that make you not want to date people.
Yeah.
So the first movie on the list was a movie that I've never seen, but I have heard a shit ton about this movie, so I definitely want to watch it. So it's called It Follows. So in a nutshell, it's about a supernatural entity that gets passed between people when they have sex.
Oh, Lord.
So once the entity starts following you, it won't stop pursuing you until you're dead. So to my understanding, this movie basically like these people just like the girl just keeps having sex with like people to try to like get rid of it. If I remember right. So I just think that's crazy. That's crazy. That's kind of a dating horror story. Ain't gonna lie to you. So number 2 was Get Out. So Chris travels to meet the family of his white girlfriend Rose.
I saw some of that and I couldn't watch the whole thing, actually.
So at the start of the trip, his main concern is how they might react to him being black. So we're dealing with, some racial issues in this movie, or like some racial, like tension. But as the story progresses and things get stranger and stranger, he realizes their racism is just one part of a much larger secret.
Yep.
So that movie kind of sounds like it might be interesting too. I might want to see that. So Ready or Not is about after marrying her boyfriend Alex, Grace is subjected to a bizarre post-wedding family tradition that sees her running for her life. So I don't know too much about that movie, but that'd make me want to get a divorce right away.
I know, right? Yeah.
If it was something. See ya, I'm leaving.
See ya.
So Sinister. So as part of his research for a new true crime book, Ellison moves his family into a house where the previous residents were butchered. But when Ellison finds a box of disturbing movies in the attic, he realizes that the killings may be a part of a much larger pattern. So the reason that this movie was on the list, because I did a little bit of research upon it, is I guess the main character was so focused like on all these little things that were happening that he didn't really like pay much attention to like his wife.
Right, yeah.
So it was kind of like all this crazy stuff was just like taking over, it seemed like. So number 5, which this is one of my favorite movies, actually, weird enough, that is The Shining. So Jack Torrance relocates his family to the abandoned Overlook Hotel to take on the job of caretaker for the winter. But as the sense of isolation sets in and Jack's son Danny begins seeing things, Jack's grip on reality starts to slip.
Oh, yeah.
Which,
slips bad.
Here's Johnny.
Slips real bad.
Yeah. Which real I guess, bad. Like, that just shows you what, like, isolation for, like, a long period of time, unfortunately, can do to people. Yeah. It can make them go a little bit cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs.
Right.
All right. So, number 6 was a movie that I've never heard of in my entire life, but it's called Audition. So... It sounds like a foreign film, which that may be why I've never seen it.
Right.
I'm not really into like the foreign films. Like if I have to put on subtitles
I can't
in English, it's kind of hard for me to like focus on the actual story.
Exactly.
Which I've got nothing against.
I'm like, I'm had to
films.
read this. What I can't.
Yeah, I've got nothing against foreign films, so don't get me wrong.
Right.
But just like it's not my personal choice of things whenever I'm looking to watch a movie.
Right.
So, a widower is encouraged by his son to try dating again. So, he sets up a fake audition to meet a new wife. But the woman he ends up falling for has her own dark secret.
Whoa.
Okay, so number 7 on my list, I've seen this movie and it's definitely a creep show. I can definitely talk about this movie. So it's called The Loved Ones, which very creepy if you've never seen it. So when Brent refuses to accompany his classmate Lola to prom, she decides to take matters into her own hands by violently kidnapping him. So basically what happens, like, I'll give you a little bit of information about this one, is Lola kidnaps Brent and she like tortures him pretty much because he won't go to prom with her. So that's definitely like a dating horror story,
right? Yeah,
to a T, right there.
Exactly. You won't go to prom with me. You're dead. Dang.
But yeah, holy moly!
Well, that movie Gone Girl, was it Gone Girl? That one with Ben Affleck.
Never seen that one.
That was a messed up movie, and that was kind of like, I'm trying to think. I don't know if they were married in that movie though. They might have been married in that movie. It might have been like more of dating, but that was an insane movie. If you've never seen it, it's definitely worth checking out.
Yeah, I've never seen it.
It's a good one.
Yeah, but there have actually been like a lot of movies, like if you do research,
I know,
where
right?
it's kind of just been like dates gone wrong. Like girl has crush on guy and guy won't, return the favor. So what does she do? She does a lot of horrific things.
I know, right? Yeah. Exactly.
Why does it always seem to be the girl?
I know, right?
I've never seen like the guy do anything.
I know, right? What's up with that?
I don't know. That's some crazy talk, though.
Yeah. Well, cool. If you have some other stories, though, of your experience with some horror dates, let us know. Still send us your email. We'll, plop them into our next episode.
Yeah, we do want to start having like a viewer segment where it's like we focus on like a viewer story and kind of like react to it.
Right.
So it's like we do want to start getting into that. So don't be afraid to send us an email. I know that one of our viewers sent us an email and that was pretty cool. So I'm hoping that, as we catch on more, that there'll be more and more people sending us their stories and all that.
Right.
Because we definitely like the correspondence back and forth. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, we appreciate ya.
So I think, is that about all we got for today?
I think that's about it.
All right, so stay tuned for next week. We're going to talk about unbelievable events.
Yep.
And if you have any sort of unbelievable events that you would like us to do any research on, don't be afraid to send us an email to chicstellall@gmail.com. We would love to hear from you, and we'll definitely take it into consideration whenever we're doing our research for next week. So I guess, is that really all we have for today?
I think that might be it.
So don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. We're still trying to grow our channel. I noticed that every week we have a couple of new subscribers. So I am glad to see that. Glad to see that we are, starting to catch on. So that's a good thing.
Yes.
So, 2 Chicks Tell All, and we're signing off. It's your girl, Tay Tay.
And Cece.
Have a great week. We'll talk to y'all later.
Peace out.